Welcome to the Irose Show. I'm your host, Vivian. With me in studio today is Irose herself. I also have Lindy and I also have Finny here with me. Welcome, ladies, to the Irose Show today. How are you doing?
Great, Vivian. We are very great to be here. I'm happy and I can't wait to hear the story.
I am excited myself. As you know, I'm in the hot seat today and I'm new. I'm the new kid on the block, if you will say it. Yes. But before I get into talking about what we're here to talk about today, our topic today is breaking the cycle. The importance of breaking the cycle. And what is a cycle? It is something that we could continue doing over and over again. And for some reason, we can't kick the habit. But I'm here to encourage, especially young people out there today, that you can break the cycle. Yep, you can break the cycle and you can get out of that cycle with confidence, knowing that there's potential in you and that there's purpose on your life. Yes, wouldn't you join me in agreeing with that?
Of course,
that the cycle can be broken.
Yes,
and before we get into that, was there a cycle that you had difficulty breaking, but you did?
Of course.
Yeah, tell us about it.
I can say being shy.
Okay.
Saying something and you will think people will judge you for what you say of who you are, or just try to fit in. This is one of the fear that I overcome, and I go like, you know what, who cares what Irose said or how I look like. When I was in higher school, I used to be called kind of names that I won't say today but another day. But they go like, they have to on the light, they say, can you see Rose? So basically then that kind of put my self-esteem down, and how I overcome that, I got a vision and say, you know what, I think I have to start teasing myself. And after doing that, they lost the excitement of doing, they lost interest of doing that. So therefore, I think that was also part of breaking the cycle.
So that's how you were able to break the cycle of being shy and being...
Exactly.
How about yourself, Finny? Did you ever have a cycle that you had difficulty breaking, but you broke it?
Yeah, I had the cycle of trying to save money. When I have money, I spend it. When I have money, I spend it. When I have money, I spend it. And I saw some friends and they told me, listen, if you want to do something, you just have to be all in. If you're not, you can't. And that's how I said, you know what, I need a place of my own. How will I go about it? I started saving and cutting back on the things that I was indulged in. I go to the mall, I don't need those stuffs, I buy them. I have a pair of shoes, I have 5, 6 colors of it. It wasn't helping.
Of the same shoes?
Of the same kind of shoes.
I think by some point we all did that.
And that was how my money was going. So paycheck to paycheck was my biggest cycle. You know, I keep telling myself over the years, I would break it. And eventually I did.
Oh, good. And how about you, Lindy? Did you struggle with something that you had a problem breaking the cycle of?
I can say yes. And that cycle was I can say, because my background, I didn't have, I can say, that time enough education. And I was wondering, how can I help myself? And how can I come out of this? So then, starting school, I couldn't finish because of sickness. In the middle there, stand up and I say, you know what? It's the time. My father has spoken. And I went to school. When I went to school, it's like, even all the subject when it come, like I knew it already. Just that maybe it was fear, unknown fear. So then I break that, I can say, yoke. I break that and I'm very excited. Even when today I'm standing here, I can say, yes, I did it. Because, of course, BSW, come and nurse, then now as the moment I'm talking to you, social worker.
So mental health.
Exactly.
It is a huge achievement.
And the thing about it is too that is so important. You touched on an important point is education.
Yes.
And I want to let us know that education is the key.
It is. Yes.
It is. It doesn't matter where you are living on earth.
Yes.
It is important to obtain an education. I have a saying that says, I believe education is that key that unlocks the door of poverty.
Yes.
I'm telling you, because once you educate yourself, once you get knowledgeable of even who you are and your giftings, it will help you. It's when you don't know. That was what's killing our young people. And I want to bring myself into my cycle. You know, I got into a cycle of trafficking drugs.
Yes.
Right. And it was a dangerous cycle. And before I was able to break free from that cycle, I ended up with 2 prison sentences.
Wow.
You understand?
Yes.
So it wasn't a cycle that I went to sleep and I was out of it.
Yes.
You know, because I was in it over years and years and years. And
How did you break out of that?
well, it was after 2 prison sentences. You know, the first sentence I received was in Jamaica.
Amazing.
You know, and that was for trying to leave Jamaica with 32 pounds of marijuana going into Miami. You know, so here I'm in Jamaica. Yes, I'm from Jamaica, but I was living in Canada since I was 8 and raised in Canada, did all my schooling in Canada. But I was dealing with an underlying issue. I was dealing with low self-esteem, wanted to be accepted, wanted to be a part of a crowd. I didn't accept me, the uniqueness of me, but I wanted to be like somebody else. And that was what drew me into this. And another underlying factor was I was missing the love of a father.
That's what I wanted to ask. As Vivian, not knowing that I know you personally over 10 years, I know your mom, who is a great motivator in the public, who is a God-fearing. She actually inspired me in the public, or our community, I can say it. Coming to know her for who she is, and we here come Vivian, a daughter of this woman who's a God-fearing. That is not only that whatever stigma you are dealing with, from your mom home, it should be something that was lacking from you. And what was that?
And that was the love of a father. Because what happened is I was in with my mom alone, 2 brothers, never met my dad, never heard a dad say, you know, I love you, or you did a good job at school, that type of thing. So then I was searching for love in all the wrong places, right? To get that acceptance, because I didn't have anything like it. And that led me to in a relationship with a drug dealer.
A wrong person.
You see, so I want to take this time, and we need to talk about this for a little bit. How important it is for fathers. Let's talk about the dads,
to be in the family,
to be in the lives of their children. And now we're in the 20th century where there's divorce, there's one-parent families, but fathers, although you're not in the home, still be in the life of the children, still be in the life of your daughter. Be that role model. Let your daughter have something to compare. Because if as little girls we don't have something to compare, we will think the right thing is the right thing. We will think that something is a thing when it's really not a thing, because we don't know.
Exactly.
We don't know what's wrong love from what's right love, because our dads were supposed to show us.
So Vivian, did you feel in you that there was a gap that was unfilled?
That was a gap. That was the gap that made me reach out to men and ended up in this relationship. And now, because there's a gap, right, then now I become vulnerable to somebody. Because they could see that. Right? And they hold up on that. And they use. This guy never really loved me. He saw that I had a need. And he pretended to feel that need and offered me something. And then on top of that, being told that, you know what, you'll never be anything, you'll never be good at nothing. And then I said, you know what, I'm going to be good at something. So when I got into trafficking, I was good at it. So then nobody could tell me anymore that I'm not good at anything, because I was good at this thing.
And in my understanding that you were a leader.
And then I became a leader. So I was not only now being pushed around, right? I was now recruiting people, and I was good at it. So I'm here thinking, wow, I'm good at something. You know, I beat the odds of what everybody spoke over my life.
Right.
Not knowing.
But in a
wrong way.
Yeah.
But at that time, I didn't care whether it was wrong or right. I was just good. No, honestly, I was
find
good at
something
something.
doing.
And that's the thing, that the gifting
Or
was
what you
there.
are good at.
Exactly, the giftings was there.
Yes.
The eloquence of speech was there, but I just didn't know how to use it
I
in the
understand.
right way.
Okay, if you don't mind to say that, that means when you went in that situation for drug dealer or whatever it is, it's not that you went there by your choice, but you went there in the push of finding of yourself and finding the love. But the love we are talking about is not like a relationship, but it's a love from the fatherhood.
Father
That's-
figures, yeah?
Father figure. That's
Right.
what you are looking for.
That's what I was looking for,
And-
right? But just in the wrong place.
Exactly.
You
So
know?
that means even that person did not give you love, but end up
Use
to
her.
destroy you. We can say destroy you, but God amend you and bring you back that
Turn it
this is not
around.
my child.
Exactly.
So therefore, as we know, and you spoke that mommy, she had been there, which is we know that she had been there. But yet, another room was there because mommy, she's not at home in certain time because she's at work. So therefore, you get that chance. Okay, I'm going to do what I have to do so that I can do this. I want to test that. And when you
The
test,
father's love.
Yes.
That's what she was lacking.
yes. So still, that bring you to know yourself who you are.
Yeah.
And that's when you were doing all that, but you never tested it.
It brings out the leadership out of her. So
Yes.
she was now here, Vivian, trafficking drugs, but she was the best at it. So means that Vivian is a leader, but she was using her leadership skill in a wrong place, in a wrong field, in a wrong
Yeah.
career.
Yes.
And that is what a lot of
So
our
let's
young
hear-
people
Yeah.
are going through. So this now I ended up in prison in Jamaica. And even in prison, you know, God preserved.
Yes.
How
You
did
know?
you survive it?
By the grace of God. In this institution, it was horrid. We're not talking about like in Canada or third world countries where it's like a hotel or something. Everything is nice. You have your air conditioning, you have your gym, all of that. You know, I was in a dorm with about 15 other women. You had to use a broom to sweep your feces down. There's no flush toilets in this facility at this time. We're talking about over 20 years ago. But God kept me in it.
That was not very nice.
Yeah, it's not very nice. But one of the things, though, that going through that, I believe that God used that to preserve my life. He used that as an incubator,
Yes.
Yes.
right? So then I ended up in prison again because we want to go through to get where we're going. And one might say, well, Vivian, why did you end up in prison again? Why? Because when I came home, Finny, people were talking about me. They were saying all sorts of things about me.
Right.
But guess who wasn't talking about me? My same drug dealer friends. I had no money, nothing, right? And guess who were giving me clothes and money? My drug dealer friends. So what do you think happened? I went back right to the cycle. What I know, what I'm used to. And that ended up, I got caught at the Pearson International Airport now.
That means that you feel rejected from the public. But therefore, here was one person that
Or a group of people.
a group of people who accepted you for who you are. And that's how you
same
get
group.
into this.
And that's how the cycle, because remember, we're talking about breaking free from the
Cycle.
cycle.
Yes.
So I ended up back in the cycle and ended up back in the system again, right? So now I'm at Pearson, now went to the court system, now I'm given an 18-month sentence here in Canada. But the amazing thing, and let's talk about the cycle and education.
Right.
I was in school at the time when I got
Which grade
caught.
were you?
I was in college. I was studying to get my medical and dental diploma. And school was on break.
Exchange that for drug trafficking.
I was on break, summer break.
Yeah.
And I took the summer break to do a run to Jamaica to come back and got caught. Now school is time for school. I need to be in school. And guess what? Vivian is sitting in a facility in Brampton, a minimum facility. And when I got there, right, the funny thing about it is how God will open the eyes of people to see who you are. This girl said to me, oh, you look like you don't belong here. And I'm thinking to myself, you know, what does she mean I don't belong here?
Yeah.
I was caught at the airport in my possession with marijuana. And she introduced me to a program. I was able to come out on house arrest. What is house arrest? House arrest is where you do your sentence at home. You're only allowed to go to school and back home. You cannot go to the mall. You cannot go anywhere. So basically, they track you how much time you take to travel back and forth
From school.
And if you're out in the community, say for example, if my mom was, I'd have to be in the company of my mom. So basically, that's the hardest prison.
It is.
It's the hardest prison because you see that door and you can open it, but you dare not open it
Because you get arrested.
because you'll get arrested.
Yes.
So I had to go through that. But then, glory be to God, I finished and I graduated. And I received my diploma,
That's
you know,
good.
in medical and dental. Again, education. So now I'm equipping myself that I don't have to traffic drug to maintain a lifestyle.
Right.
And that's why we talked about the importance of our young people staying in school.
Yes.
Education.
Education. But you know what? Before we go further, there might be a mother out there, and you're listening to me, and your son or your daughter is incarcerated, and you're blaming yourself. Don't blame yourself. Don't blame yourself. You've done the best that you can.
It's not
At
your fault.
times, it's not your fault. Children like myself, you know my mom. You've met her.
Peer
You understand?
pressure leads
It's
you to
just a decision that we've made. And we went down the wrong path. Don't beat up on yourself. And also, don't give up on your children. You understand? Continue to believe and trust God that the cycle can be broken. So here I am now with 2 prison sentences, right? I'm thinking, that's it for me. You know, I can't do anything. I'll never amount to anything, right? I started hating myself. A lot of our young people, they don't want to be in criminal activity. They don't want to be in gangs.
Sorry to distract you there, but did you thought at any point in your life when you got caught, have negative thought to do something because you blame yourself of what you got yourself into?
Yes, I wanted to kill myself.
That is a worst thing, suicide, that is
Yeah.
our youth are dealing with right now.
And let's touch on that. I wanted to kill myself because honestly, I made 5 attempts to commit suicide.
And how did, what?
It's just the grace of God that didn't let it happen. Because you get to a place where you start hating
And you hear voices.
yourself. You start hating yourself. You hate what you become. Right? And now it's like the real you, our young people are trapped within themselves. They are crying out. But guess what? They cannot be heard. Why? Because maybe people think that, you know what, it's so-and-so's son, because there's no way he could be in that. Or so-and-so daughter, their mom has money. Why would they? So therefore, now they're not being reached out to because of maybe their social status, financial status, but they're crying out.
But the parents
are not hearing.
listening. We are not watching out for those signs. Tell us, what are those signs that parents, the community, the society have to look at when their teenagers are going at the wrong path? Or sometimes we look like we have perfect life, but we are not watching out for those signs. What are those signs?
One of the things that we need to look out is withdrawal. They become not social anymore. They don't want to even talk to you. You know, they come home, they're in their room. You understand? When it's dinner time, they don't want to eat with you. So they're withdrawing. You understand? Something is happening. Another sign is, you know, they stay out later than norm. You know, another sign is they start bringing in items into the house that you know they can't afford.
And that means that as parents, we have to start searching our 15 rooms?
I think so. As a parent, and I think every parent, as long as you're the one that's paying that mortgage
Right.
in that home, there should be no door on your children's
Let's
room
do it
door.
all.
Take the door off. I'm telling you, because I had a friend.
Right.
She said, "Listen, if I can't go into that room, I will take the door off."
What about?
Because our kids are so, let me tell you something, this thing is so subtle that if you if you don't have a keen eye,
Right.
your children will slip away out of your hands.
I understand that.
Undetected.
So, but what about the Canadian system of invading our children's privacy? For me, as a parent, coming from a parent's perspective, I think I want to bring in the old pathway, because being a believer, the Bible says that bring up the child in a way it should be. So as a mother of a 19 years old and also a 13 years old, a university student, plus my 13 years old is going to high school next in June, I still want to know, if I try to talk to you and you shut your door or you lock your door, I still want to know what is in that room that you are locking the door. I definitely have to go in. Well, now he's 19, but even before he was 18, I have to make sure, okay, you have a bag. What is in that backpack?
Well, one of the things, if I may say this, is and you talk about the Canadian system, I think the onus is
Right.
not so much on the government to assist us to raise our children.
Right.
Right?
No.
I think that one of the things that parents need to develop is good rapport, good communication skills with your children.
Right.
We have to differentiate when the parent is speaking and when the friend is speaking.
Right.
Sometimes our kids need a friend, not so much a parent.
I understand that.
So it depends on which hat you're gonna wear that day to go into your child's room, or how you're gonna know what's in that bag. Are you coming with that parent, let me, or you're gonna come, hey, can we talk? I noticed that, you didn't eat for 2 days. That's the approach that we need to. But if we're honest with ourselves, coming
Right.
from the backgrounds that we come from,
Right.
that's not how it is at times.
Not at all.
And I also believe that kindness is one thing that we've not used its fullness.
Right.
If we are kind to one another, it brings the softness of anybody out. If I show you kindness, regardless, not being critiques, not judging you, you tend to let go and reach out to me because I'm looking out for your best. So I think as a society, even though our kids, we know what our kids are facing in our time now, I think what is still lacking is kindness. If we can all come together and say, you know what, let's not look at where they're at now, what they're doing, what they've achieved, but let's be kind to them just because they are human.
Right.
Can we start with that?
Of course.
Breaking a circle, to me, is a full-time thing. You cannot break a circle because a circle is like a generational curse. It's just going round and round.
Which is a stigma in our community and society.
But the only
today.
way that we can be able to break it and really break it by going to the roots and pulling it out is being kind. Let's start with that. Can we be kind in a way with the way we use our words? Can we say, you know what, honey? I know you're not in the mood to talk. I know you're having a bad day, but when you want to talk, I'm here. Without judging them, without comparing them to Peter down the block.
Right.
That's another important point
Right.
that you just, the comparing.
Yes.
We as parents need to stop comparing our neighbors' kids to our kids.
Yes.
Because automatically your son might be, and they rebel because of that. Your son might be smoking and the next parent, that your neighbor's kid is not smoking. And you say, well, why couldn't you be like Vivian's daughter? you're setting up, one, for that person to hate Vivian's daughter.
Yes.
And two, to be resentful and think
Right.
you don't love them. So we need to, as you said, we need to not compare or let our children feel that we don't love them because of this. But I have a motto. We need to start loving our youth back to life
That is
and
what it
destiny.
is.
Because there's a destiny that's upon their lives. And this generation, and that's why this topic is breaking the cycle so important, is because even for myself, I use myself as a living witness that the
Right.
cycle can be broken.
Yes.
The cycle of crime and imprisonment and suicidal thoughts and all of that can be broken. And the true potential and gifting in our children can be manifested, but it's a process.
It
And
is.
it's going to take us being involved. And it's going to take all level of governments
Of course.
to be involved.
Of course.
Because this is not just a black thing.
No, basically what it is Vivian just said, for us being this talk show and Irose talk show basically bring out all the African diaspora community Canada facing everything, because we are like a hub for our generation to deal with the issue that is affecting our community out there. So each and every one of us need to come together, as Vivian have said, and Finny have said, and Lindy have said here, that we are going to tackle every issue that is affecting our community. Like Vivian is talking about, she was a former trafficking, and she come out of it. Now she is she's going to tell us more about who she is and what transformed. So each and every one of us, we are trying to bring love to the community, because we will change community with love. We replace everything with kindness, as she said, which is kindness, charity, that is all in one, is love. So Vivian, I think you go ahead and tell us.
And what she said is true. Love will do it. And as for me, as you know, we kind of come down in my story, and then we can really talk. Is that who would have thought? Now I sit as the president of Friends with a Heart Outreach International,
Yes.
right? And Friends with a Heart Jamaica Limited, and the host of Real Talk, and now the host of the show. Who would have saw that
Exactly.
over 20 years ago when I was at the airport being handcuffed? Who would have saw that when I was sitting in a prison in Jamaica?
Exactly.
Who would have saw that when I was sitting in an institution here? Do you understand? So I'm here to let you know the cycle can be broken.
Of course
But
it
guess what? We need programs.
Yes.
You understand? We need good role models. And yet we need intervention.
Yes.
And we also need money.
Of
Yes.
course.
And we also need education.
And well, yes,
This
as I
is
said,
the first.
education is the key,
The key.
Yes.
that will unlock
Because-
and help to break the
Because-
cycle.
Because the more we know, the better we are.
Oh yeah.
We're empowered.
We are empowered, and I am a firm believer of that, because what you don't know, you don't practice.
Exactly.
You know, it's like driving a car. You know, watching your blind spot. Obviously, you're going to run into a collision.
Exactly.
So for our young people, is for we to just keep talking, backing our talking with action plans.
Right.
Because there's no point, anybody can open their mouth and things will come out. But we will be able to wake up and defend that plan that we are saying we're going to put in place? Can we execute it?
How can we execute it?
You know, commitment to your own self. In the morning, you knew you could just wake up and go to school, and you choose not to. You know, you can't really fault people at the end of the day to say, they made me not to go to school. But my thing is, if you look yourself at the mirror and said, you know what, I'm better than this. Like in your situation, Vivian, if you didn't look at yourself and said, what can I do different?
My sister, that's a key for me. What assisted me in breaking the cycle when I got up one day and I realized that I'm not just hurting me, but I'm hurting the people who really love me.
Yes.
I'm hurting my daughter. I'm hurting my mother. I'm hurting my brothers. I'm hurting the next door neighbor who really loves me. And when we get out of the selfishness of what we're doing, then the cycle it's being chipped away for you, because you got to acknowledge, as you said, we can talk, we can reach out, we can bring the programs to them, we can do all sorts of things, but they have to get to that place where they look at themselves and say, you know what? I can move beyond this, or I can be better. There is more to life than sitting and shooting up drugs. There's more to life than driving out to Hamilton and going into a shopping mall and stealing. There's more to life than picking up a gun and because I want to be a part of a gang, take another person's life. You understand? There's more. And that's what we need. Our young people need to know that there's more to life than crime.
It is, and also to know that as human, there is nothing that we cannot do when we set our mind to it. I have seen firsthand where you have it all and you lost it all in one day. The ability to pick up yourself from where you fell and just say, you know what, I can repackage myself. That willpower, we all have it in us. But where are you right now? Do you really like yourself where you are right now? If you don't, then what can be done? We are here to help.
Exactly.
You have help, the help will be, it's always there. But it's for you to say, you know what, I want that help. I need that help. How can I get this help? That's why we are open to any questions that you have, any concerns that you have. You have someone to confide in.
Yes.
And sometimes too, you know, if I might say, is that you might be listening to us and you're young and you're caught up into prostitution, you're trafficking drugs, you're stealing, and you're saying to yourself, I can't go to my parents, I can't go to anybody because it's going to bring shame on my family. We, as Finney said, we want to be able to help you. We want to provide you with the right information, the hotline where you can call in, you know, where we can help you. And not just to help you for the moment, but to walk you out. Because that's the thing that, and if I could just back up a bit and speak about our prison system.
Exactly.
In Canada, because I know the system because I lived in the prison, I find that there's two compartments. There's the programs where you're able to go to school and get an education and all of that while you're in prison. But when you get released from that institution, if the support is not out there, you are going to end up right back there.
The same spot.
The same spot. You
And that
understand?
is a cycle.
And that
That becomes a cycle again in your
it
life.
becomes a revolving
Revolving
door.
door.
And you know, now I go into the federal prison, right? I go into the federal prison twice a month, 3 times a month. I'm there every other Saturday and on Sundays, and I see the cycle. And one of the things that I speak to the inmates, I said, let me tell you something. You better make up your mind of what you want to see beyond the door, the gate, not when you get to the gate. Purpose in your head that you want to change, because you cannot wait till you become free to then think where you want to go, because you are going to end up right back. What do our young people need? And we can sit on this for a little bit. Just like how, right, our pimps are there at nights prowling our streets. Just like how our drug dealers are there. Just like how our gang leaders are there. We need to be there. We need to have people in place that when they need us, they can call. There's a hotline that we can get on it. We can say, where are you? You know? And this brings me into talking about, there's an organization out there, and it's called Circles of Support. And this organization, what it does, it circles pedophiles. So, for example, a part of their probation, right, is that when they come out, they can register to be a part of this circle. And this circle provides them with individuals that they meet once a week or twice a week. And just in case they're in a spot and they feel like they're going to reoffend, they have access to call somebody. Right? That's what we need.
Yes, exactly.
That the minute you feel like, you know what, I'm going to do something wrong, or I'm pressured into doing something I don't want to do, there's somebody that you can call and say, Vivian, I'm so and so, you know, could you send somebody to help me? We need that.
We are promising that we're going to be that's why we are having this.
Exactly.
Because we have zillions of talk shows and others. We want to make a difference.
Exactly.
We want to make an impact. And that is we trust in one another. You should be more at ease to trust us.
Exactly.
And we are giving our word that we are committed to this.
Exactly.
It's not just a one-time ride, it's a commitment for life.
It is.
And we can be families together.
Of course. That's
So,
why
you know,
community.
that is why we are opening this forum to say, whatever is on your mind. Are you afraid? Are you thinking that you're no good? I have nothing to offer. That's not true. Because I've been there, done it myself, and I know it's the Father himself that can verify what our future can be.
Exactly.
Nobody can validate it at this point because we just started life.
Exactly.
So you just started as a teenager. Who can say that tomorrow you will not be the next leader?
Of course.
Exactly.
It is you who will
next
say to
business
yourself,
owner.
I can be the next Vivian because I came out of it. Vivian is our first-hand experienced person that can tell you, I've been there, done it, and I have a t-shirt to prove it. And we are all collectively saying in our own different areas of life, we've had our own shares of experience. It might not be as extreme as hers, but we've had experience of people failing you,
Exactly.
betraying you, letting you down, making you to go back to that same circle. You're fighting so hard, you take one step forward and it feels like you take 20 steps backward. We've been in that situation ourselves. So what we're saying to you is, come out, reach out to us.
Exactly.
And we are in this together.
Exactly. As a community and as a nation too. Because the African diaspora community Canada, it is for everybody. And it's not only for the people of the African diaspora, but we are here in Canada as a nation, right? So the African diaspora community are serving the whole nation. Come on here if you have an issue of drugs or any issue at all, because what we are doing, we are working, we have physicians, we have pharmacists, we have social workers, we have everyone, even lawyers, family lawyers, criminal lawyers. We as a community, we are here to say we have all those people who are licensed to take care of every situation that our community is dealing with. So we are now continue still hearing from Vivian about her story and how she ended up to be a president of these two organizations, and not only in Canada but worldwide. That is a big transformation, and she is here to talk to our youth, to our community, to our society, that the drug pathway is not the way.
And it's not. It is not the way. And the sad thing about it is, which is very sad, some persons, it was death that broke their cycle. They didn't live to tell the story. So you could either come out of the cycle two ways: by the grave. You understand what I'm trying to say? Or you can come out and have an opportunity to tell your story and to impact, and that's the path that I chose. And it was just by the grace of God, you know. But one of the things that I want to do, as I really tell you, is that I dedicate the rest of my life to reaching out to our youth, to reaching out to our young adults, to say, listen, it's not worth it. It's not worth the money. It's not worth the money. It's not worth your peace of mind. It's not worth your freedom. It's not worth your freedom. We need to know who we are in God. And that is what our young people across the diaspora needs to know, that you are gifted. And the thing about it is, when we hear about our gang leaders, and when we hear, and it's not just in Canada, but it's everywhere. You understand? These are gifted men and women.
Of course.
But guess what? We've made a bad decision. We've made a wrong choice. There are inventors sitting in our prisons. There are book writers. There are scientists. There are all sorts of men and women who the world is waiting for them.
Yes.
But all because they made a wrong decision. And I'm a witness that change is coming. It is here. And that you can break the cycle. You can be a positive. The thing that you were negative with the society about, you can then now impact this society in a positive way. but the choice has to be yours.
Yes.
And when you think about it, we cannot talk about this without talking about the sovereign God.
No, of course not.
Because in all of this, he was in there.
Yes.
You understand? He was in the midst. And I look at myself, as I was journeying to the studio, I was thinking to myself, God, this only could be you.
Yes.
This only could be you. And I want to say this quote to encourage somebody today. And it's my quote. You can add my name to it.
Exactly.
When your dreams and your visions super exceeds your ability, then you know it is God. What I want to tell you today, what God wants to do through you is bigger than you can ever imagine. No prison sentence could hinder that. Your destiny is not tied up into any man. It's not tied up into any drug or your past. It is in God. And I encourage you to reach out to us. Let us help you. Let us walk through this with you. Yes, you're going to bump your foot. Yes, you're going to fall down. Yes, you might even reoffend, but trust me, you're coming out because it is your winning season. It is a winning season. And we need to speak it in the lives of our young people.
Yes.
One of the things, ladies, what I say when I go into the institution,
Right.
and I say this to the women and the men,
Yeah.
I said, you are not what society says you are.
Not at all.
You are not who that your docket says you are. You are who God has already says you are.
Yes.
You understand? And he is the way maker.
Yes.
He is a miracle worker. He is the
Exactly.
burden bearer. He is the one that's going to break the cycle.
Yeah, basically, as believers, the Bible say anyone can call you anything at all, but it is only the counsel of the Lord that shall stand in your life. That prevails. Anybody can call you. You are nothing. You are not. You are not becoming anything, and you are good for nothing. Don't listen to negative talk out there. Know who you are in God, and we're not only talking to people. There are some people who are not believer of anything, but these days, as we know that the Bible is coming back. Like last time I hear the news saying that now the research and the scientists find out that the Bible say it is better if you fast, because mostly it's only believer that fast, but anybody can fast. So now the time is coming back. Basically, we are all going back to the Bible, because we use the Bible in our court system, whether immigration system, whether our Ministry of Attorney General Court, we use the Bible as a book of law. That's why they give you the book and say, you know what, do you want to do affirmation?
Yeah.
Exactly. So
The Bible,
we
I swear.
believe in the Bible that you are who God said that you are. So that is powerful, Vivian.
It is. And once again, you're listening to the Irose Show. And as we talked about breaking the cycle today, we'll be talking about a lot of different topics. One of the hot topics I think we need to talk about is abortion amongst our culture. And it's on the rise right now. A lot of people are dying from it. You know what I'm trying to say? So those are the things that, we're really, as my sister said, educating people, knowing that you don't have to go, you don't have to make that decision, So there's lots of things that, you talked about immigration, there's so much domestic violence,
Of course.
it's on the rise, and why are we not talking about it?
And
Why are we
mental
afraid?
health too. That is
Mental
a
health,
huge challenge.
one of the things that I would encourage young people who are seeking a degree somewhere, you need to get into mental health, because I'm telling you, it's the when you see it on our streets, and mental health has many faces.
Of course.
is.
We all have it,
Yeah,
actually.
Yes.
and
we all have
you
it.
could be sitting
Yes,
beside
exactly.
somebody in church, and they are they're going through mental
Exactly.
health,
Yes.
but they look perfectly together.
Of course.
So how do we detect mental health? So there's so much things that we really want to cover
Exactly.
and engage in, and today was breaking the cycle. And the cycle can be broken. I'm a living witness that the cycle is broken, and I am declaring today that it is my winning season, And it's not only my winning season,
Yes,
but it
your
could be
winning
your
season
winning
too.
season
This is
over
our winning
crime,
season.
poverty, whatever you're facing.
Exactly.
The cycle can be broken.
Exactly.
It's not eternal. It shall come to an end.
Amazing, Vivian. We are honored to for you to have us here today in the show, and we are very grateful for your testimony, for your story that will impact our youth out there. As a host of Irose Talk Show and also a member of the African diaspora, we are going to do the best we can to make sure that our community and our society as a nation come together, team up with the three level of government and see what we can do to change the stigma that is our society is facing. It's an honor to be part of this story and part of the show.
And I am honored to be sitting here as the host of the Irose Show. Again, I'm looking forward to working with the diaspora myself, getting also out there on the field too, because I think sometimes we need to be hands-on there too.
Exactly.
So I'm looking forward to being on the field, getting, to know our listeners and doing some community projects
Exactly.
too. So as what Finney said, that we can actually be active so they could see that we're not just talking.
Exactly.
It's one thing to sit and talk and all that stuff, but it's another to act upon what we say.
We are not only talking, but we are doing. This moment we have the plan of cleaning up the city where we live in. If you are in York region, you clean up York region. If you are in Toronto, you clean up Toronto. If you are in P region, that is what we are going to do. Every one of us is going to work in unity and make sure that listen to the issues that is our youth or our members of the society are crying about, and not only to hear about it or talk about it, but also how can we fix it? How can we solve these problems? And I believe together we can do that as a community.
And I also wanted to mention in regards to depression. Maybe that is what your cycle is all about, and you just feel so shy to tell people, I'm in my lowest, I'm in a hole, I've been trying to climb out of it, and I don't know how to go about it. Gives you that wings spring. 1 minute you're up, and 1 minute you're flat on your face. We're also open to that. We're saying across the board, whatever the situation is, that is your own cycle. We're saying we're open to helping so that we can all come as a community to break the cycle. It's not an automatic thing that can be broken. It's a process, and we're all committed into that process. And I think together, with our Father up there, we will overcome.
Is that all right? Do we have any final thoughts before we close off today?
What I'm thinking that as Vivian, your story have changed. It changed basically the way I have to deal with the youth out there, or what to tell them. That we have one of our member in our community or the diaspora have faced certain issue like this, but today she's out there, she's a leader, she's a go-getter, she is everything out there. So therefore, don't hesitate. Come to the African diaspora, meet Vivian in person, meet other social worker in person, lawyer in person. It doesn't matter what situation it is, we are here to solve the problem, and we're gonna solve it. And because we are tired of talking, because we had, since we were born, we still hear about feed the child, this poverty, and now we are in this our age, we still have poverty. How do we make sure that we put an end to this?
Anybody final thoughts?
Another thing I wanted to say, our youth, whether youth or adult or anybody in the same situation, they have to admit themselves, they say, I need help. Because we cannot just stand and look at the person. You yourself, you see that this person need help, but that person admit that the person have a situation, issue need to be dealt with.
Yeah, that actually come to mental health.
Yes.
Because most people who have the mental health, especially for drug addicted to alcohol, addicted to drugs, most people do not admit that they need help.
Yeah.
And if I could just interject with that, that's a perfect point because
Yes.
I had a parent reach out to me and her daughter was on cocaine, strung out on it. And it was a friend of mine.
Yeah.
And she never admitted that she was on it. So the mother called and she says, oh, Vivian, I really need you to help my daughter. And I had to say to the mom, I'm sorry, I can't do anything until she admits that she needs the help. And it's just like with domestic violence.
Yes.
You understand? You will stay in that until you hit rock bottom.
Yes.
Again, I had a friend who went through it. The signs were there, the abuse, the scarring. And I would talk to her, and yet still she wouldn't move until she got to rock bottom. And that's what we now, it's sad to say, but we might have to allow some of our kids to end up in prison. Because if that's your rock bottom, when you're going to cry out to help, we will be there. We're praying that's not what it is, but in reality, that's how some of them get to that rock bottom, right?
Yes.
But again, as we said, as a people that serve in diaspora, we'll be there even when you end up in prison.
Exactly.
We'll be there even when you end up in that mental institution.
Exactly.
Because if that's where your rock bottom is, we want to be there. That when you get there and you're looking up, you will see our hands.
Exactly.
As I always say with the school, we choose or we should desire to be the hand of God extended,
Yes.
reaching out,
Yes.
right, to the fallen, right? So we will be the hand of God when you are in that prison cell
Yes.
or in that mental institution or wherever you end up, as long as you, because when you're rock bottom, you can't go anywhere else but up anyways.
Exactly.
You know what I'm trying to say? So we're hoping you don't choose that, but guess what? If you're there right now in that pit, you understand? We want to be the hands of God to get you out of there.
You mentioned a very important point, Vivian. I think we did not cover this, but we need to cover it. Domestic violence. Let's talk to them that, even we are also talk about everything, including marriage falling apart, relationship falling apart, not necessarily just because of domestic violence, but maybe you are out there because today's time, it seems to be like he said, end time. What we are dealing with is more about mental health, relationship problem, marriage problem. We have a lot of parents right now, they go like, you know what, this marriage is not my thing, as I'm out. That is one of the stigma in our society right now.
And one of the things that, and I mean, we're open to talk about it, God is good. We need to address that because I find, and then there's something we can go in depth with that, domestic violence, we sometimes don't want to address it because guess what? Sometimes the abuser is a leader. You understand what I'm trying to
Very
say?
big point.
Sometimes the abuser is a big CEO. My husband is abusing me, right? We hear it over and over, especially in our churches. We don't want to address it, but we need to address it. Because the reason why? Because this person is giving a certain amount of money, because this person is the CEO of this organization. So how dare do I go and tell Vivian that, he's abusing me? We cover it up. Right? Yeah. But we need to deal with it because domestic violence has many faces.
Oh, yes.
You understand? It's not just the beating. What about the scars that are underneath that you don't see? And then that turns to a mental health situation.
That's exactly one of the...
You know what I'm saying, Steve? So we need to address it. Why do we want to address it? Is it because it's going to cause offense? Well, let's cause some offense.
Yes.
Because if it's going to cause offense for you to break that cycle, we want to address it and hold them accountable.
Exactly.
Well,
because we want to save life here.
At the same time, it could be fear. Financially, I have always believed that when a woman is not having that financial freedom,
right,
she used the slogan, "I'm staying because of the kids."
And that's domestic violence.
And that to me, it's we all know that is not the truth. If you're having difficulties financially, it kind of handicaps you. So how do we get educated to know what are the other things that I can do to raise funds? If you're doing 9 to 5 and you know your 9 to 5 is just making you back to paycheck to paycheck, and this provider in your life, he's the one making you to have the lifestyle that you're living. It becomes status. If I give up this marriage, will I end up without a car? If I give up this marriage, will I end up my kids will not be going to a name brand school? Well, can I just shock you? Because if you're dead, all that will be irrelevant.
Yes.
So what we're saying here is we're open to come together, teach you other ways to raise money.
Exactly.
That you can get like a second income.
Or you can be
You
entrepreneurs.
know, you can be a small self-employed person of your own.
Exactly.
Something that you're passionate about, something that can help you generate money. You don't even know it, but you have it in there. So let's come together, let's address it. Why is it so big in the picture? He's abusing you, he's making you feel little. Abuse is of different forms. You don't necessarily have to be that he physically touched you, but his words can make you feel like, why am I even on earth? Feel so suicidal, feel so depressed that you like, how did our path meet? We're saying to you that all that can be resolved. You can come out of that paycheck to paycheck cycle itself. We are here to talk about cycles. How do we really break them across the board? We're saying count on us, trust us.
Real talk.
Real talk.
And
Let's
solve
confide
problems.
in one another. Don't be afraid of him. Don't make him look like the Goliath that he's not. Because we have the stones, we are the David. We can conquer him. So call on us. Let's talk together. And let's see how we can take baby steps. We're not saying today pack all your stuff and leave the home. We're saying how can we be proactive? How can we initiate things that will get you that financial freedom and give you back your voice? Why don't we start from there? Call us.
And I like what you said. We're not here to tell you to pack your bags or to leave. We're just here, as you said it so, to help you, to make yourself, so you have a voice. Because sometimes it's the voiceless that gets the abuse. You know, and so those just some of the things that we need to talk about. We really need to talk about it because, as you said, it's not about the beating, but it's the emotional side of it. It's the financial abuse. It's the social abuse. Because abuse has a lot of faces. Domestic violence has many faces, and it's tragic when one takes your life just to get rid of the abuser. And you want to see the sad thing? You need to visit some women's shelter and women running for their lives from a home that had love.
Exactly.
You know, so do we try to deal with the issue before it gets to that state? You know, and it's just about empowering people, you know, empowering people to make right choices and to do what's right for your family and yourself. I mean, we look in society today, over and over we hear about on the news, you know, just a couple months ago, the young man who took his daughter and, you know, alleged all of that stuff. And we've heard about it over and over.
Very
you know,
heartbreaking.
Heartbreaking. I mean, let's try to save families,
Exactly.
you know, and to restore hope and to preserve life.
And having you say that, I'm going to add this, you have mentioned it earlier, that some people who are the abuser are the public figures or they are CEO companies. I also have come to realization that most people who are abused in our community are most educated women or men. So, but then because of their careers or because of their position, they feel ashamed to even speak out that they are being abused. So why will I tell these my co-workers or my colleagues that are being abused, having a position of the level of education that I have? So just to let you know, no one is judging. We need to come together. Talk to someone. If you think you have no strength of your own, you can confide in us or someone who can be able to bring you here if you can't come on your own. As I said, we have all level of education, as we have doctors, pharmacists, psychologists, psychiatric. Everyone is in the African diaspora. The other day I was talking to one of the lawyers in our African diaspora, say that we need to educate our people because most of the time we have people coming to Canada. We all immigrants here, and because of the cultural shock, sometimes we are not willing to speak up because of the cultural background where we are coming from. And also we have competition these days in families, in marriages, because sometimes, say for example, you came here as a lawyer and your wife came here as a doctor, whoever come through first and get their qualification, then the other couples start to be jealous. And that's where exactly most of the abuse coming from. So Vivian, you make a quite point there. I would just try to add a little bit that.
And I also wanted to mention that the abuse, funny enough, it's not just the women that have been abused. Some men have been abused. So the forum is not only for women, it's for everyone across the board. So depending on what situation you are facing, you could be a guy that you're facing a situation that you don't know how to explain it. We're saying to you, we are here for you, we're committed, we've been betrayed, so we know what it is to be betrayed.
Exactly.
That you will not get. So you just know you don't have to earn our trust. We are offering the trust to you. That we are open to it. Just call the hotline, contact us, and we'll take it from there.
And you have a valid point too, that because some women can be very abusive because they would make them more money, so they feel like they want to be both a woman and man at the home. So that is good. Yeah, and we're women, and we can admit it. Women can be abusive. But I just want to touch on something that you said about, you know, a woman being in a certain status and education, and then she feels bad of, you know, reporting to somebody. I was in a relationship, and you know, I just thank God for my journey that He took me through life. I could talk to all, no matter what the topic is, I can go into my chest and pull something out. But I was in a relationship and I was taken advantage of. And I stayed in the relationship. And one of the things that I always said to myself, why are you are so educated. Why do you sit in this and let this person treat you like that? You know, you start looking at yourself and you're thinking, who is this? And I don't want to use, for lack of a better word, because you see yourself as, wow, do this person know who I am? Well, and then, because then now you start to victimize yourself, you start to play the guilt trip on yourself, and you start, you know what I mean? So how could I go and tell Rose, you know, could you imagine Vivian? How could you let that happen? You know, you're so educated, you're gifted, and you're on TV. You know, you traveled all across Canada. You're the president of 2 organizations. You sat under a relationship. So you see why sometimes you're afraid? Because they're not going to see you as human.
No.
And that maybe you're struggling with yourself.
You don't know how to.
You know?
Break
So
out
that's
the
what's
cycle, yeah.
right. So that's what keeps a lot of us who are up in the echelons, and then we're afraid to admit that, you know, because people see us as strong. People see us as smart.
Yes.
People see us, there's no way Vivian is ever going to put up with that. And you don't know when you go home what you open your door to. And you put on that makeup and you come on set and you drive your Benz and whatever. And you speak to thousands of people. And then you're going through the same thing. But I remember T.J. Jake said one time, leading while you're bleeding. You understand what I'm trying to say? Leading while you're bleeding. Because while you're encouraging and leading, you're pulling yourself out at the same time. Because then you're hearing yourself. And that's what got me to this place. I encouraged people even when I was hurting. Because the more I encouraged Finny, the more I was putting myself. The more I was hearing myself. So the more I was living what I was preaching.
Exactly.
And then that helped to break the cycle.
I also wanted to mention 2 things. Shame and fear. You know, you might be afraid, okay, if I take this bold step in regards to domestic violence, and says, okay,
Or
enough
you're
is
breaking
enough,
the cycle.
or you're breaking whatever cycle is, and your fear is holding you back. You're afraid that you will fall. Let me tell you, a lot of us have fallen before, and there's a lot of space in that place. You got your parking there. But the most important thing is picking yourself up while you fell and say, you know what? I'm not the first, and I will not be the last. I can do this again. I did it before. I can do it again. It might feel like you're taking 7 steps backward, but guess what? Your one singular recovery step is 15 times more than the one you've taken back.
Exactly. So
Because you've already gained your balance, and now you're pushing forward.
it means that it's not how many times you fall.
fell, but it's how many times you rise when you fell.
Right.
And also shame. I find with domestic violence and women who are in relationship that they shouldn't be in are ashamed of themselves. If I leave this, I live in a 3 garage house, and now I'm living in a roll townhouse, or I'm even renting an apartment, what will my friends say? What will society say about me? And you feel ashamed because of that. You don't want to take that one bold step that can save your life. Need I tell you? Shame is a thing that is beautiful. You are ashamed shows that you are conscious of yourself. But will that define you?
No.
Will you allow shame to validate who you are? Will you allow shame to put a stop to your beautiful future? Yes, people might look down on you, laugh at you. You were driving a Benz, now you're driving no name brown. It's okay. I buy
You're
no
walking.
name.
Yeah.
Or
From
you're
a
catching
Benz
the
to
bus.
walking.
Yeah.
It's okay.
That's what
You
they're
know?
like for.
We have alternative. You can buy a brand name for now. You
Save
can
your
buy
life.
no name for now. But we are here to support. We are here to say, okay, you cannot buy a car, but we have the bus ticket for you. You cannot do this. We have alternative until you get to where you want to be. The opportunities are there. The chances are there. When we're offering the rope, all you have to do is hold one end while we pull the others for you.
That's amazing. And not only that, before even you leave your 3 garage home, go to an apartment, you need to reach us to us, and we can together, we can brainstorm and see how we can solve the problem before it reach there. So we are here to save marriages. We are here to save relationship. We are here to save life. We are here to do all possible what we can to make sure that we be a better community.
And break the cycle.
Exactly.
And break the cycle. That is important. And with that being said, it was a wonderful time. I am just blending in with this family. It's my first day, as you can see. I'm on the hot seat, but it has been a good hot seat, and I'm not burnt or scorched. It was really good. But I just want to close off with this, and then you could do the final remarks. Irose, I want to close off with this, and it's a quote, and it's profound. To really close off this segment with this, and it's from Joel Osteen. And it reads, "You cannot hang out with negative people and expect to live a positive life. You cannot hang out with negative people and expect to break the cycle."
Powerful.
Powerful. I think we
Powerful.
should end it with that.
Yes, powerful.
Thank you, everyone.
Yes,
Thank you.
yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Mhm.